Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Tuesday. It's July 24th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And there was quite a bit more volume and a little more volatility today for a change. We looked like we were going to have a big uptrend. As you can see, we really started trending up early in the overnight session, and we trended up until about 9:30. And then really you could almost say we were going sideways, but it turns out we end up with a trend down. And we really never, this two-tiered channel here on the way down was the play most of the day. Actually all of the day into the close here. Um, so it didn't really get real clear till here. Most of this, you're probably better off to stay out. You do have a smaller channel here. I want to show you something else too. On the way up, there's a shorter term channel here, and then you got the two tiers here. But there's also another possibility. Another guy sent me his chart, and it looks valid, and I think it probably is, but it gets you to the same conclusion. It's that trend line right there, like a spiking channel. And let me just make it darker for a minute so it's easier to see. But this was a good eye here. You can see that you had your first couple of swings, and we came back and tested it here, and you came back and tested it here. And notice there's a little gap right there over it, which usually, let me back out a little bit here, which is usually a good indication you got your line in the right place. So I did a test to see how it fits on the upper side. Doesn't really give you a whole lot to work with on the upper side, but it doesn't matter. We never got back up there anyway. So, but you can clearly see that line is coming into play if you'd have played it, but it doesn't get you anywhere different than my original trend line does, other than the fact that it might have helped you with this entry. This one you would have had either way. So it might have helped you with this entry. But if you drew your line off these closes off the top and drug it down, this would have bounced right off that line. And so you still should have been able to find that one as well. So anyway, just in case you saw it this way is fine too. It still gets you to the same place basically. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to get it out of the way just so it doesn't clog the chart up so much. But you had to be a little patient this morning. It started out slow. This is really mostly sideways stuff. But notice there is a new low, and you get a first entry, and then you get a second entry. I didn't like that, even though it was a failed second entry short, for a couple of reasons. One is you got two dojis right there. This is really more bearish, but that's a true doji right there. And you don't want to be going short right there on a true doji. And we don't have a new high in place. We've got the close outside here, but we still hadn't made a new high. So I would skip that, but when it pushes up and pulls back and gives you a breakout pullback and bounces right off what looks like, you may not have had this line yet, but still, either way, it's a breakout pullback and a nice bullish bar. You're still going long at the long of the day, so I didn't feel comfortable making it blue. But that trade's probably going to push on up to a new high. It could just go a couple of ticks. We actually had a new high right here, but when it turned down, you got all these top pickers, people that try to pick tops, and I get emails from them all the time, and a lot of times they'll work. But a lot of times this is exactly what happens to you. When it turns up, if it breaks higher, it's probably got people trapped. And you know it did, because look how it shot off right there. You had a lot of people trying to pick a top in here, and all of them had to exit right here, and that's what drives this up. So definitely there's another little pullback right here, but you don't want to be going long. It's just way too far up. And now you're at the upper side, so it should be backing up. But here's one that would have worked. Actually, if you'd have tried to go short there, you might have got burned. It never would have stopped you out, but you'd have to be really brave to fight through that and not exit. So you got your lower high here, but again, there's 4 bars in a row. One of them's a doji. It's congestion. It's right there at this midline. If you copied this line and found the center point there. So I'm a little, and you can see how it gapped over it right there. That's a good sign. It's probably it's in the correct location. So I don't think you really want to go short right there. It actually pushes on through now and pulls back and gives you a failed second entry long. And even if it is only going to here, you got plenty of room. So I like that one. And we may be done because this trend line's had a break and a new high. So you would expect at least a two-legged correction here. And when it fails, pushes through the MA and fails, then you got to figure we're either going here or we're reversing. And so when it bounces here, it really makes a little double bottom. But you had a close outside the new low, and you might have found the trend line there. And if you did, that's a nice bullish bar. You may not could have gotten in this one anyway because it gaps over right there and takes off. So unless you dropped a limit order and it came back and filled you, you probably couldn't get in this one. And even then, you may not have got in it because it did take on off pretty quick. So I don't feel comfortable making that one blue, but if you want to be aggressive, and if you did catch it, it's a good place. Here's your higher low. That's your better place to enter. And notice we've got one leg up, a correction, so we may get another measured leg up. And we may keep going higher if this is trend line, but that also confirms this trend line. That's your two. Really, there's two bars here that it touches, but this really is your two swings, and then this confirms it. So I like going long there. Another nice move up. Again, you had people trying to pick tops, I guarantee it. And then we get up here and we just start going sideways. Here's another one. This looks like a great place to enter. It's probably going to trap people, and all it does is trap the shorts, and they get stopped out, and then it turns down. So it's just, you want to make sure you got a reversal pattern and or a confirmed trend line in the other direction, especially on a strong trend up like this. So that's my advice. Take it if you want, but you know, you'll win that trade trying to pick a top or trying to pick a bottom just enough to keep you trying to do it, and in the long run you'll lose money. It's a losing strategy, so take my word on that. But anyway, we finally start working down. Notice there's a new high here, first entry, second entry. So this is a failed second entry long, nice bearish bar. It's also, you really could look at it like a second entry short too, first entry, and then it goes back up in a second entry. But really, that's more congestion than anything. But it breaks higher and turns and goes out the other side. You might wait on this one, but that's so bearish and it's a failed second entry long. I like going short there because I guarantee you a lot of people tried to get long right there. And then you had some more trying to get long in here. And then it breaks higher one more time. And this does confirm that little trend line, although I would probably look at this like the second swing because the closes aren't really fitting here. So when it comes back and tests that line once, twice, and gives you a little breakout pull back short, and this actually broke higher too, I'd go short. I'd have me a sell stop right there, and when it went higher and then turned and went out the other side, I'd go short with it. I don't think I'd wait till this one because now it's not looking so bearish. It's still a bearish bar, but I don't think I want to be trying to get short down there. If anything, I may let it break lower and drop my limit order for sale back up here where it originally would have been one tick behind, but you wouldn't have got filled on it. You would have missed this trade. You either had to get in here or here, and I really wouldn't have any problem adding on here. I wouldn't add on to this one, but when this one broke out, I wouldn't have a problem adding on to that. And this thing just takes off, and it actually gives you a little jog back, and you could treat that like a failed second entry long, but it's so far away from the EMA, and that really just gives you the first couple of swings. Although you probably could have drawn this off these lows and drug it up. It needs to be a little bit tighter. So, and it broke higher and turned down, but I still would probably skip that trade. It's doubtful you'd have had this midline here. If you knew what that was there, I'd probably say, hey, I'd take that, and plus that would give that even more. I mean, you can see it right there. It pulls back and tests it. But we didn't know that was there at the time. You didn't have enough information to find that. And so really all we're looking at now is this channel. And actually early on, it looked like it was up here. And this was like a big overshoot, but that's just too much to be an overshoot. You got to figure something else is going on. So I would drag that down. And I didn't look far because it's not really needed, but I'm sure there's a midline in there. And you can see that, and it doesn't really help you any, needless to say. But then we bounce and we're working higher, but you're still in this big downtrend and you just had a huge leg, so there's a good chance you're going to get a second leg. We end up getting it, but we don't get it till way over here. There's leg one. Generally, you would expect it to start probably right here, but it didn't start till over here, and we ended up going all the way down to here, and you can see that's holding all the way down. So, but that would have given you a decent target anyway when we headed back down. So I'm just not crazy about entering here. I do like this one finally. There's a little short-term trend line right down through here, and you get a close and two little swings down. But notice you got a little double bottom right here. So you got that low, you test it once, and you come back and you test it once again, and you get a bullish bar, bounces. I like going long right there. You may just be still inside all this stuff, but I would expect it to at least come back to here. But it comes all the way back up, and it verifies. It gives you a second swing to draw this trend line, this bigger trend line off of. And look, you're moving up, two legs down, you move to a new high, and it reverses. So you could have just played this one swing and not necessarily had to have this up here. But when we turn down off of that, and then we turn down off of it 2 more bars, that's a good sign. So this one really sets up your trend line. This one confirms it. That's not a very good signal bar, but this one makes it a lot more bearish, and it is a little bit of a breakout pullback short because you got a little bit of support working across there. And you can see that right there. I probably would have moved that up in this little breakout pullback. But your stop still has to go above the green bar right here. That's your high. And if you got room, I'd probably put it above this one. But it breaks lower and it just takes off. Even if you miss this, you get a little pullback right here and a lower high, and you can see that little short-term trend line working down. Make it bigger. I just made it real light so the chart doesn't get too cluttered. But that's your lower high, and you still got plenty of room into here, but it doesn't end up mattering. It pushes on down, it comes back. And I would have drawn this trend line off these little bars right here, right off that swing and those closes, and just copy it and drag it up. And when we turn down off of it, this is really a second entry short right here. It's hidden, but notice the move up, first entry, move up, second entry. If you went to a little bit smaller chart, you'd see 2 clear swings there. Go short right there. And at that point, I would look for at least a measured move like so. You can see that gets you back down here again. And that's a pretty nice move down. And then it pulls back here and tests your midline. Gives you a lower high, second entry short. And you're looking for it to at least come down to here. So you got plenty of room. And at this point, I would have had this line probably back up here. But that still gives you plenty of room, but I ended up moving it. I believe it's down here. It fits better down here, and this turns out to be a midline. You can see prices working both sides of that midline all the way down. There's no doubt it's valid. And so it gives you a lower high. Now you've already started down. I wouldn't enter any more in here. You've already bounced off the low. Just kind of sit tight. There is a little failure right there, but you would have got burned going short right into that. It bounces, gives you your first close outside this shorter term one. And so you may get a new low before it tries to go higher again. And so you get a first entry, then you go up and turns down right off that midline, big bearish bar, second entry short. And it just the bottom drops straight out of it, right back down to that trend line or that trend channel line. And then we start working out of here. We've only had a break in one leg. Although we did bounce off, it is pretty obvious at this time that this is the lower trend channel line. And there is a failed second entry short here. So the only problem is that bar is just so big. But it does come back one more time and it bounces off that trend line again and gives you a better bar, although that bar is still that bar is still 11 ticks. So that's a 13 tick play to put your stop below it and your buy stop above it. So the only option you really got is to let it maybe come back some, but you would have only got filled back to here, it looks like. Maybe you could have gotten a limit order with it touching, but usually you're not going to. And then you got this bar, and I didn't mark this one, but I'm going to show you something. You got a little double bottom here. So notice what happens. You go up, you got a first entry, you push through the midline, off the other side, you come back, you get a failed second entry short, and it actually breaks lower there and turns and goes out the other side. You might let that break higher. I don't think I'd drop a limit order or a buy stop right there. I'd let it come back some just to try to get a little smaller bar. And this thing would have come back, and you could have gotten filled all the way back into here. And then it would have taken off. So if you saw that like that, I'm still going to make it green. It's right at the 2 o'clock hour. It's a little bit aggressive, but you got to figure we're probably headed back to here. And now we've pushed through the EMA and pulled back. So, and this closed right at it. This closed right above it. So there's a good chance we're coming back to test it, and then we'll push higher. But notice I came back and tested it one more time because this wasn't a really good test. And then it takes on off. And that's the way that the market usually comes back and tests those areas where those support resistance areas where it pushes through. And that's pretty common. So little volatility today, few more bars, a little more volume. And this was a pretty good move down. It got a little iffy in here, but once we started down again, get your measured move, and that would be my minimum target. But you can see we had a lot more going for us than that. But anyway, not a bad day. And there's a couple different ways to see it, obviously, but they got you to the same place, really. And that's the beauty of it. If you know, generally there's not multiple ways to draw your trend line. It's either right or wrong. But sometimes you do find different ways to draw it, and they both, they get you to the same place. So just keep that in mind. So anyway, I'm done for today. We're going to wrap it up. We'll be back again and do it tomorrow. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.